what they're doing right now.
All right, I had a chance to sit down with Baylor head coach Dave Aranda, as I do every other Monday. He does a media session and then gives me probably about 12 to 15 minutes on many things. And yes, I did bring up the fact that he has a commandment: don't let outside noise in the program or acknowledge it. And he's had to do that a little bit when people have asked him about the coaching situation, LSU or whoever else. I've asked him. So others. Today at the media session, he was asked. Here's my conversation with Baylor head coach Dave Aranda.
Baylor football coach Dave Aranda with me on Sikkim 365 Radio. You're in the championship game. 10-2, Oklahoma State. I know you just answered some questions about Oklahoma State. What does this say about this program? Second time in 3 years, despite a coaching change. Not to mention what they've been done after other coaching changes with Coach Riles to Coach Rule to you. What does this say about Baylor football's resiliency?
Yeah, I think you could go even further out and just Baylor athletics or just Baylor University. I think, from that perspective, you're seeing people and you're valuing people, and people have a voice, and they're being valued, and I think that enables the better player to emerge when that's happening. I think there's plenty of examples of just our team particularly, but I guess my point is I see it happening throughout the landscape here at Baylor. But just kids that learning to trust, learning to own their story, not run away from maybe something that they're not proud of or they're not sure of, but kind of just coming to grips with it, accepting it, and then working to get better from it. I think when that happens, their feet are in the ground, they're looking at you in the eye, and what's funny is they start playing better on the grass as well, and so I see that happening throughout, and I think one of the things that makes Baylor special.
You said the word trust. I had somebody that is on staff tell me that he loves being at Baylor, not just because of Baylor. He loves how being with you, being with Dave Aranda. Mm-hmm. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd like it to be like that. I think, I feel like we're still trying to build that. I feel like for me, just all of the trials and tribulations that come out there or that come about in college football. I think just trying to be real, man, and not take out stuff unnecessarily on people that have nothing to do with the angst or the anger or the whatever you're feeling. I think, I don't know, I've just been so many programs where it's just there's people that are throwing around unresolved trauma to other people, and everyone's walking around like that ain't happening. It's crazy, man. Yeah. And so I think to really be intentional about not being like that and seeing football as a way to be better. I think it takes a strong commitment to it, because I think we're raised for to love the intensity of stuff, not the consistency of stuff. And I think the way that we're trying to do it is consistency over that intensity, and I think it's it takes a belief and a buy-in, and that takes time.
It didn't surprise me, but it almost blew me away when we asked you. I think someone asked you about, in fact, I brought up about the younger coaches that might be moving on, and you gave them the trust. Mm-hmm. You trusted them during the week, and when you're playing against a program that they're going to be working for. Mm-hmm. You're so unique with that.
I don't know. If we didn't do that, then it'd be like all the stuff that we're doing is like BS, you know? And so I just think, like, you know, when you go through it with those guys, and, you know, a lot of respect for them, and I've seen their growth, and I've seen like their heart, man, like how much it means to them and how much they love, you know, Baylor and the kids on this team, because they've been through a lot with them. And when you see them like up early in the morning, or you see them late at night, you know, having wars with the copier or the printer's not working, and they're doing all that, you know how much it means to them. And so, you know, they're just trying to, they finally have their break, you know, and they want to have one last ride with their team. And, you know, unfortunately for them, it's versus, you know, this particular team, but, you know, you want what's best for them, especially when they go about their business the right way.
You talk about the opportunities for young coaches. What was it like when you told Caleb Collins, and I know he's been coaching the outside linebackers from almost immediately after Coach McGuire left. What was that like to see a young coach get that next level? You've been there before.
Yeah, he was way excited, and you know he's gonna get married here in a minute and start up his deal, and so I'm way happy for him. You know, Caleb is someone that has got a heart of gold, that has got a real, you know, learner mindset, and wants to improve and wants to get better, and all of that matters, and he's always open to new ways and better ways, and he's a great teacher already. I think he's one of the better teachers probably on our staff, and I just think, you know, I think the ceiling is going to be really high for him. I think, you know, after all the excitement and everything, we talked about, hey man, like this is, so now here's the levels where you can get better, and here's what you can do, and he's all about that. And so I, you know, just his the mindset, the way it's hooked up is strong, and good things are going to happen to him.
You've coached in the Big Ten. You've coached in the SEC. You saw what defense is like in the SEC, although the scores are getting crazy in that conference like it used to be in the Big 12. Now you've been here for a couple of years, and we've seen the change. Baylor, Iowa State, Kansas State, others, TCU under Patterson until early this year. Defense, Oklahoma State. What's the difference between defense in this conference compared to what you saw in your time in the SEC?
I think in the SEC it was more, you know, guys with a lot of stars kind of simplifying stuff so they could just kind of do their stuff. I think it was a lot of that, and matchups and that, whether it be front people, you know, trying to, you know, development of skill, get them on a mismatch, let them go. Don't do a bunch of stuff, you'll mess them up, let them do what they do. And then same with coverage guys, same principle. I think the difference here is there's still a fair amount of star guys that are doing the work, but there's more scheme, you know, the twisting and the stunning and the gap exchanging and the pressure packages in this league are twice as much as, you know, the other one. And then I think coverage-wise, there's much more variation. You know, the SEC was a lot of man, and we were a lot of man in that league. And this league is very little man, and more of a, here's a shell, one play it's 3 deep, the next play it's 2 deep, the next play it's drop 8. And so it's much more of a chess match here than it was there.
You're going to be in another game. This is a grind. Everybody wants to be in another game. And now you're here. And Baylor's been through this before. What is it, more of a physical or mental grind to get back up again and yet again? You want to be here. You're glad to be here. But how much? Which is more taxing this week?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, I think you would like it to be. You would probably like it to be the physical piece if you had to choose, or if I had to choose. I think, you know, coming from our game, our last game versus Tech, and our performance and our prep into that, I think, you know, we need to be on the rise from that game, and there needs to be some probably some frustration / anger / this ain't good enough going into this one. So I would like to see a bounce and a more realization of, like, we're not here to play up and down to people. We're here to play our standard, and so to get back on it, And so I think from that perspective, our mindset should be, we're going to need to demand it, that it's in a good spot. I think, I think just football in general, but college athletes more specifically, it's difficult, man, to keep the outside stuff from getting on the inside. And then I think it's, if you have them long enough, you can get it to where there's some sort of a filtering system of what's real and what's not. And I think, the better teams can do that, because now their standard is the standard regardless. And, we're not there yet. And so we're going to continue to pound away at that thing. But I think that will be something that eventually separates us. But for this one, we got to get back to the standard.
You have kind of a commandment, I don't know if you do, about outside noise getting in, and you've handled the questions about coaches, coaching jobs, etc. You've talked to me about it as well. If in fact you discuss it, does that admit you're allowing outside noise inside your program, which is a no-no?
Yeah. I mean, it's difficult. I think the times that I've brought it up have been, well, it's already inside. They're already talking about it. So then I kind of bring it up. But I think, it's a tough position to be in, because I think you can say something and no one believes you. so it's like, it's tough. I think people, I don't know, I've always been accustomed to not talking for a reason. Mm-hmm. This would kind of fall into one of those categories. But I think, it's difficult. I think people I think there's been enough people that have done things a certain type of way to where now there's a belief of, like, this is how things are done. And then I think everyone else is kind of, is piled into that category, which, is unfortunate.
There's a PTSD among Baylor fans, mm-hmm. but at the same time, you've mentioned this is a fit. Can you be who you are elsewhere? Or is this what you mean, that this place allows you to truly be who you always are?
Yeah, I think Baylor, there's definitely a Christian perspective, and a even probably broader than that, just a belief that it's bigger than the sport, that the development of you as a human being, and you becoming the best version of you is very important. And I think just that view of itself by itself is an off-ramp for me to talk about the things that I really value and believe. And I think if it's all about, the final destination, right, and it's all about the outcome, and these, the belief in a greater power, your ability to transcend who you are now to who you want to be. If there wasn't those things being talked about at Baylor, and it was just about, hey, we want to win this number of whatever, then I think, to me, it's not worth it. And so I think that, it's a great fit here. My favorite moments are when we're having discussions with leadership councils in our freshman class, just on life and things outside of football. Just the teaching part of it is the part that I really enjoy the most, and so it's a great fit.
I'll wrap it up with this. Berenstein Bears. Mm-hmm. The Velveteen Rabbit was what you brought up to Joe Cladden. He even mentioned he's never had a coach bring that up before. Mm-hmm. Are you going to go on some sort of children's book tour? No. You can come up with some of the most amazing analogies at times.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. There's times where, and this is the truth, there's times where I start to feel comfortable enough in my own skin where I think I'm kind of like with the group, and then I'll say something, and pretty immediately it's like, I probably shouldn't have said that, man. I probably shouldn't. I can see the look, and it's like, yeah, that's why you don't really say a lot of stuff. And so
People love that.
yeah, I know. I've always believed all that. Like, I think I used to read that story, and so it always hit me. But, it is true. I've talked about that with the team, and for me to bring that up with them, and they're not to be smirking, at least to my face, or smirking, or, jokes and all that, and for there to be like feedback on how this relates to them and how they see it or don't see it and all of it, I was like, way cool. And you just tell just the growth, because, that was something I've always believed and held, but I wasn't going to bring it up last year or any point earlier in the year because we weren't there yet.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Baylor head coach Dave Aranda, Sikkim 365 Radio.
All right, that's Dave Aranda from earlier today. A chance to visit with him one-on-one at